I think we are recording now. All right. Hello, everyone. This is What Do I Know About Actual Play? We are playing Eberron using the Quest RPG system, and we have our wonderful, intrepid newspaper workers trying to root out corruption in the lower wards. And with that said, I'm going to say, Ange, why don't you introduce yourself and the character that you're playing?
Hi, I'm Ange. You probably know me from Gnome Stew. I am playing Hazel Summer Sorrow, the obituary columnist / doctor / happy necromancer of the group.
All right. And John, why don't you introduce yourself and the character that you're playing?
Hi, I'm John Carney. You can find me at John Carney on Twitter. I'm from the internet, although not so much these days, though I plan on returning someday soon. I'm playing Charples Canitar, a gnome magician, famous author, tell-all expose outlining the training and dark side of gnome magicianry in Sharn.
All right. And Bob, if you would introduce yourself and your character.
Yeah, I am Bob Everson, and I am playing Kithra Broadfist, who is a dwarf who was hired as muscle to protect these intrepid nose poker inner other people's businessers. If that's a...
We may need to find like a thesaurus and look up other words for reporters.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. And unfortunately, for any of you that have been following this, PK is not able to make it tonight. So next session, we will find out the exciting adventures of whatever Matt got up to while the rest of the crew follows up their investigations.
Deep cover.
And with that in mind, we're going to cut to our opening scene, far away from where our heroes are currently at. We see the same news wagon that has rolled down the street every morning for several weeks now. And that news wagon pulls up to our newsstand with our middle-aged half-elf newspaper stand owner standing there drinking his coffee. The man driving the wagon stops for a second, throws the newspapers down, and says, "Hey, I am really beat. I got going early. Can I take a rest here for a minute?" And the newspaper stand owner looks at him and says, "Yeah, that's no problem. It's your schedule." And he picks up the newspaper and starts reading it. And normally we get this framing device of whatever story lead that our reporters were on previously. And this time we zoom in on the half-elf newspaper stand owner looking over at the driver going, this is that guy that wrote the book about the gnomes, right? And he looks over his shoulder and says, yeah, that's Charples, yeah, that's him. He goes, why is he writing about food? And at this point, we are going to cut back to the rest of you. Where are all of you meeting this morning?
Well, what if we met at Kithra's place? I'm kind of curious about that.
Ooh, that'll be interesting. Kithra, what is your place like?
My place is dull. Dull as hell. There's like, furniture, like places to sit and stuff, but it's all like super sparse. No decorations. It's like, it's like, does anybody really live here?
It's like super utilitarian.
Yep.
So you all meet up at Kithra's place, and I imagine like somehow I'm picturing like the whole building where all of these apartments are like this. This is somehow like it's almost like one of those extended stay hotels where
corporate housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it well.
Except this is where Kithra is most comfortable. So as Charples and Hazel are about to reach the door, Hazel, you have your pigeon friend flies up to you.
Hey, Squabbles.
Um, let me ask you, what does Squabbles sound like? And does Squabbles have any particular quirks?
What he sounds like, high pitch, like he has the type of, okay, the only thing I'm thinking of is good feathers. Except, maybe a little higher pitched, but he definitely has this, he's a little irritated at life sometimes because, he didn't necessarily ask to be awakened and turned into a talking, sapient pigeon. But, this is his lot in life. So he likes his little colored bands that he gets around his ankles. But other than that, doesn't necessarily have to have the full-on good feathers accent, but
it's good because I don't think I can maintain that. So as you're about ready to go into the building, Squabbles lands on your shoulder. Hey, Hazel.
Hey.
I got finished doing what you were asking me to do. I was keeping an eye on that goblin that you wanted me following. And,
did he ever go anywhere?
Oh, yeah.
So where did he go?
Oh, I thought, we were going to have like a nice conversation indoors and, we could sit down like civilized people. But if you just want to like have me stand out here in the open and talk on your shoulder, we can do that too.
Well, no, we're still waiting on Kithra to open the door. I can't just walk into her apartment.
Okay. And Squabbles like flies up to the handle on the door and starts like with the with his beak.
Hang on a second, I'm coming.
Nice bird.
And Squabbles looks over at Charples. Charples?
Squabbles.
Like, nods.
Good morning.
Hey, can we come in?
Yeah.
And before you finish saying yeah, the pigeon like...
I'm right behind the pigeon all the way. Don't even wait.
All right, then.
I brought Danishes. Well, they wouldn't be called Danishes in Eberron, but you know what I mean.
They're edible, though, right? Because, I'm hungry, so...
Yeah. Did you have any orange juice? Orange juice is good. You've got some orange juice here, right?
I do not have orange juice, no.
Anything to drink at all? Anything. One thing.
I've got some ale.
Ale.
It might have a slight citrus tinge to it.
That's good. That's good. I'll help myself.
Hey, Hazel, you didn't mention the pastries when I flew up to you.
Well, that's because we had just gotten here, and you were talking to me about what you had been doing yesterday. Would you like a lemon or a raspberry?
The pastries have egg in it. You should know that.
I have pigeon eggs in them too.
Yeah, chickens, probably.
I'll take a lemon.
I'll slide a lemon over towards the side of the table Squabbles is on.
Starts going at it. Yeah, that's pretty good. Looks up, has
lemon
like
all over his beak.
Yeah,
right?
has like lemon all over his face.
You
You got a little something right there.
Yeah.
I have never seen a bird eat a pastry before at a table. This is unusual.
Well, I'm not like a regular bird. I mean,
Are you thirsty? Can we get you a beverage?
see, like before, I was worried that you weren't being hospitable enough, but now I'm like getting kind of creeped out by it. I just want like a normal level of hospitality.
Define normal.
Hey, you walk in a place, somebody says, hey, you want something to drink? I say, yeah, I want something to drink. Hey, do you want something to eat? Yeah, I want something to eat. That sort of, the cadence there.
Would you like
We're
a
standing
napkin?
here talking to a bird.
Eating a pastry. And you still
Now,
have
what was
something
that about normal?
right on your face.
And and he like walks up next to Charples and like rubs his face. Did I get it?
I hand the napkin to
you got it.
Charples.
You got it. Charples wipes his sleeve with it.
That's pretty good. Thanks, Hazel.
So did you see Gilmer? Did you see Gilmer do anything interesting? Go anywhere interesting?
I mean, it depends on what you consider interesting. They went to Mallion's Gate, and all of you in this district would know Mallion's Gate is one of the lower income areas of the lower ward, and it is up against the back wall of the lower ward, and it is primarily a goblin neighborhood. So yeah, I went to Mallion's Gate and met with some hobgoblin, and I believe he called him lieutenant, and then they yapped a lot. Yap. Lots of yapping.
A uniform, maybe?
The hobgoblin wasn't really wearing a uniform, but it was pretty nice clothes for that neighborhood, and they had a very, very uptight posture.
Formal.
I like saying uptight.
That's a good tail, bird.
You think actual military or more mercenary company uptight?
Well, if I'm going to judge between the watch and say a standing military, definitely closer to standing military.
Interesting to know.
This is interesting. It's we've been dealing with some pretty industrial grade hardware lately. The odds of coincidence are dropping rapidly.
And I don't really speak Goblin, but I picked out some word Keshtar.
Keshtar.
Do any of us speak Goblin and know what that might mean?
I don't know.
I do not speak the Goblin.
Languages. Do we have a place for languages?
Probably not, but I will.
No.
I will let you use whatever logic you would like to use to explain to me why you would know Goblin.
Well, my book being famous, of course, was translated into many different languages. Goblin, of course, being just one of the many ones it was translated to. That's
a pretty good amount of goblins in Sharn, so not unreasonable.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Hazel only knows how to swear in Goblin.
To be fair, I only read the first 2 pages, and then Goblin was so hard I gave up. But that's about as far as I got with it.
Yeah, you're probably not conversational, but you have a chance to know what Keshtar means then.
Maybe places or things I would probably have a shot at. That's probably about it.
Yeah. And I think this is probably something that's up your alley as far as the connotations of the word. But I'm going to say you probably know what it literally means. But if you give me a D20 roll, we'll see how well you pick up any of the connotations around.
Time for Dice Scam.
Dice Scam.
That's a nice roll.
18.
All right. So that is a success without any complications. So Keshtar means silent ones, literally. But from what you've picked up, that is actually specifically a Dakani term for an undercover agent that is a goblin.
Oh, well.
Well, what has Gilmer been up to? It would be rude to question Gilmer publicly about such things. We'd have to find a quiet place so we could not blow her
So
cover.
no one else can hear the screams.
Well,
Or Gilmer.
I mean, so we could have a private conversation.
If Gilmer is an agent of the goblins, and he could just be she could just be protecting
Hey.
the goblins, and that's as believe me, I get it. I know, as someone who comes from that sort of veiled society, I get it. I'm sympathetic, but that doesn't mean we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, does that sound like the first place that you would like to head out for the day?
Seems like a good place to start.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How are you going to approach trying to isolate Gilmer for this conversation?
general parameters, I would like it to be as non-confrontational as possible, and to preserve respect and secrecy of that arrangement. So I would say someplace where it wouldn't be overheard, could be seen but not overheard. So maybe like near a loud printing press, where the conversation could be, it looks normal for us to be down there, but not easily overheard. Maybe that kind of thing.
All right. So basically, wait for Gilmer to come in to do their job, go downstairs, and then you guys just kind of follow and quietly close the door behind you.
Yes, and again, small posture, Kithra. Don't.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds
convex,
like a plan.
Not concave, convex.
So it is early enough in the morning that Gelmer is probably at the press already, but they're probably still working on producing papers at this point. So would you like to head to the paper?
If it's within that window where the press is actually running, that's probably not a bad idea.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to do other than just leaving Kithra's apartment and heading to the paper?
I don't think so. I think I'll probably check in with my Warforged friends later. Probably not this morning.
Okay. So you manage to walk down the street, and you're probably about a block away from work. Not a bad neighborhood, but there is kind of like an area that's a little bit more shadowed here. And as that happens, you get this feeling that you're being watched, especially you, Charples. You have definitely developed this natural feeling of, some paranoia rising when someone's around you. And I will let all of you know, because of why it is happening, you have invisible assailants coming after you. And in this instance, they will get to make all of their moves first before the rest of you. So,
just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me.
Mm-hmm.
So, Charples. Ooh, that is an uncomplicated hit. So, you notice like two daggers fly from the same direction as this figure starts to resolve themselves. And Kithra and Charples, you both get struck with daggers for 2 points of damage. And as this figure reappears and fades back into being visible, you notice a figure that is hooded, and they have almost like a gray skull mask on over their head, but from the body type, you're pretty certain this is a gnome.
Great.
And as a
It's
follow-up,
all my fault.
I am going to say Kithra.
Mm-hmm.
The complication that the second assassin has is that they rolled a success with a complication. So they are going to become visual, and they're going to stab you for another 2, but you will immediately get to do damage to them.
Booyah.
They got a little bit too close.
All right. Time to roll a d20. Boom, baby. Apparently, I should have drank more ale before I left the house.
Orange juice, man, I'm telling you.
I got a natural 1.
Oh.
That's a no good.
So you see this person visualize before they make contact with the knife, and you have enough time to hit them even as they hit you. And you overextend yourself, and the gnome, being a little bit shorter than you and knowing your center of gravity, kind of dives in underneath your knees and takes you off your feet. And you sprawl on your back as they're stabbing you. Add insult to injury.
Well, now.
So, in this case now, both of them are visible. Kithra, I am going to say that this first turn, unfortunately, you're going to have to, like, get yourself out of the ball of dwarf that you've been thrown into as a result of that one.
Yeah.
But, Hazel and Charples, what would you like to do? Both of the assassins are now visible.
Because Hazel is not sure if there are more assassins out there, and she has this momentary panic because both of her companions were just stabbed, and she is the tallest person here at the moment. I don't know if this is feasible, but I have a basically I have a sleep spell,
Mm-hmm.
and the way it's worded is basically for 2. I can basically whisper a lullaby and put any number of nearby commoners to sleep for an hour, or I can intensify the spell to hit minions. I don't know if these guys qualify, but this is still what Hazel would do.
If Kithra could go, you would have a much more solid answer. But Kithra is unfortunately went ass over tea kettle.
Yeah.
So
I think it's risk doing. Go for it.
yes.
And I figure this is probably what Hazel's response is when she's, out carousing and a bar, like a brawl starts and she's not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
She just whisper blurts out this lullaby phrase and puts everyone to sleep and then goes home.
So what intensity are you using the spell at?
Do our APs refresh, or do we just
they don't
accumulate over
refresh
time?
when you get like an extra 5 at the end of a session. So
Okay.
Did I give you guys 5 last time?
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah, I'm at like 25. I have a lot of AP right now. So
Yeah, I
got
at least some.
I only have 16, and I have 4 written down as being subtracted from that. So anyway, I
That
would
would
do it
be
at
about right.
add 2 to what my cost is.
Okay.
Bump it up a little bit.
All right.
Also, the idea is she doesn't know if there's any more out there that are invisible.
Do you have to roll anything for that, or is it automatic?
It doesn't say anything about a roll.
All right. And that affects all of the people that are in the area?
So basically, I add 1. It affects all commoners,
Mm-hmm.
and each additional AP affects a minion.
Okay. So how many action points are you spending then?
Well, with the 2 that it cost to do this originally, I'm going to say let's do 4.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So when you pump that level of magic into your lullaby, both of the assassins fall over asleep.
Okay.
Yay.
So they're both minions. You spent the exact right amount.
Well done.
So, Charples, I am going to say for free, without any rolls or anything, since you did write the tell-all book. You know that both of these gnomes are probably the standard. If they are valuable enough, their minds are going to be wiped. And those minds get stored somewhere else in case their bodies are ever freed. But until such time, there's nothing left in the bodies to question. You do know this takes a few moments, however. It's not instantaneous.
So I have a few seconds to act, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to... they're asleep right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're not out. I'm not sure what I can do to affect that. I'm going to try... I know they're already there, though.
Do you have anything that allows you to dispel magic?
No, I don't. I have magic eye, which can be see magic, not dispel it. So I don't think I have anything I can do here. I'm going to look
also note
helpless.
if there were any like random NPCs in the area. They are also asleep
Yes.
right now.
So yeah, there might be like a few people walking around the periphery of this alley that zonked out too, but you know.
Yeah. Best I could do is mesmerize one. I don't think that's going to stop the spell, so I'm just gonna,
Probably not. I just wasn't
I'm
sure
just-
if anyone had something that actually dispelled magic.
I'm going to go for rage, for
So-
frustration.
So you do probably then have enough time to say something to them before their brains are sucked out of their heads.
I do? Oh, good. Then I'm going to say, wait for the sequel. I'm going to poke the bear a little.
And the person that's talks back to you. It says, "You don't even know what you're in for. This isn't even for what you think it's." And at that point, they just like nothing.
Well,
They end on an ellipse.
We learned something. That probably wasn't about my book then. That's contract killers for our day jobs, I guess. That's refreshing.
Kithra and Charples, both of you got nicked for a little bit of damage because, you know, it was a good gouge, but the wound feels a little funny. You only took 2 points of damage each, though.
I did that twice.
Both wounds feel funny.
Yeah. Hazel, can you look at this? This is
I don't feel so good.
Yeah, got that
what
not
did
so
you- what
fresh
did you-
feeling.
Oh, what did they do? And then she'll come over and she'll take a look.
I think one of them gave me a roofie.
I do have diagnose.
Yeah.
I don't want to play a word game though.
Nope. You just spend the AP and I will give you your information.
Okay. So go ahead and spend it.
Okay. Who are you looking at first?
Since Kithra was hit, how well does Charples hold his beer?
Very well, thank you.
I'll check Kithra first. She was hit twice.
Okay. So, as you're kind of reading the life auras that surround Kithra, it is what you're picking up is something very subtle. It is not a fast-acting sort of poison in her bloodstream. It is a very slow-acting necrotic poison that will have very few symptoms before she drops dead in about a week.
This is so Sharples, you know about these things, right? You know you've poisoned people before, right?
Well, no, only with my cooking.
Okay.
Generally,
Well,
my forte was illusion to make them think that they were someplace they weren't, like, you know,
So
elevator
what you're saying
shafts or
is-
doors or things like that.
now, I mean,
So what
you
you're
know,
saying is it's poison. I've been poisoned, right?
you've been poisoned. You've been poisoned, and it's kind of important that we find the antidote. I mean, it's not an urgent thing.
It's
Yeah.
poison. Of course it's urgent.
I mean, this is one of those ones that it's not going to slow you down just until you drop dead.
What?
That's why we need
Eddie.
the antidote.
Well, whatever we had planned for today, I think it's changed.
New plan. Find the antidote.
It's a good plan. It's a good plan. I have the same thing, don't I? I also am going to drop
I'm
dead.
assuming, yeah.
I'm assuming. Yep. That's good. Can I cast Magic Eye and just to make sure it's not a magical thing going on here too?
Sure.
Okay, that lets me see hidden things, objects, things of that nature that are magical.
Yeah, when you examine in that manner, Hazel read it because she can read, life energies, but it is a normal chemical poison. It is not a magical poison.
Excellent. Good news, Kithra. It's only normal poison, not magical poison. So
Okay. And
I
I mean,
just,
if it's reassuring to you guys, if for whatever reason, if we can't find an antidote and you do drop dead and you end up becoming a spirit, we can still hang out.
This doesn't have to be the end of our friendship.
okay. Will Squabbles be there?
I mean, unless he has something going on, there is that female pigeon over on top of the fountain that he really likes.
Why did you have to tell him about that?
I mean, she's pretty. She's got a nice.
Can we stop talking about pigeons and think about my life?
Kithra, your panicking is not going to help.
Did you
It
tell
makes me
Kithra
feel better.
how long she
I said
has?
a week.
Yeah, you got a week.
I'm going to die too. So let's just try to get to the bottom of this, and
A week?
let's go. Well, it's a Zilgaro poison. I should know something about that, presumably.
Okay, if it's a week, I suppose I can not panic.
You can kill lots of people in a week.
There's two reasons Hazel's not panicking. You got a week, and she can still be friends with you even if you do die.
Comforting.
You have to talk about your priorities a little bit.
So, where would you like to go at this point?
All right, what I this is a gnome assassin. I assume I know something about this, even though it's not the magical side of things. If the gnome assassins are involved, then there's got to be a place we can contact. I would know somebody about in that space. Maybe older, maybe not exactly still in the game, but I would know something, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And they all hate me. That's kind of the bigger deal.
Yeah, I am sure that you have a gnome alchemist contact that you could, hit up and see how well they're willing to talk to you.
I think we should do that, and then we can see how much history I have with this person and see how it goes from there.
So I am going to say this particular contact is actually working down in the cogs. And they are working in the same neighborhood that you were initially in, the slightly cooler area that has the housing areas in it.
Cool. Yeah, let's go.
So as you wind your way down the paths that lead down into the cogs, it takes you probably probably about an hour to work your way down there, and the heat obviously starts hitting you again. You see the magma pools down here and all of the industrial centers and everything, because the best way to make sure you have clean, breathable air is to make sure your industrial center is down where there's magma and little ventilation.
Yes.
So the heat and the industrial smell hits you as you get down here. And, Charples, exactly where their alchemist shop is at.
Mm-hmm.
They've been...
Yep, it's Tibkert, isn't it? It's got to be Tibkert. I know it's Tibkert. It has to be Tibkert.
As a side note, Hazel would have healed those 4 points of damage that Kithra had. She can't heal the poison, but...
What about me? I took 2, and I'm little.
You're little, but, you're not usually the one running face first into fists.
Fair. That is absolutely true. I will be more careful in the future.
So it is indeed Tibkirk, and the thing about Tibkirk is the reason they're working down here, basically providing alchemical solutions for the various factories and things of that nature, different oils and things to facilitate industrial work, is because they can't get a legitimate job anymore after your book.
Oh,
They weren't
okay.
They weren't currently in the game, but their name did come up as someone who used to be in the game, and now they have a lot harder time getting a job anywhere outside the cogs.
I burned him.
That's a crying shame.
I did something bad.
So how are you
But
approaching this
necessary.
alchemist shop?
I'm going to approach this alchemist shop like Han Solo walking through the front door of Jabba's palace. No fear. Yeah. The only way to do this is to own it, and I'm going to own it.
All right. What about Kithra and Hazel?
You want me to break the door down? Just boot the thing right in?
I'm picturing.
I think it's open.
I'm picturing that Hazel is kind of picking up on Sharple's trepidation and determination, so she's going to just stand back and follow his lead.
So you kind of swagger in the front door, and you see an older gnome living out his elder years, which lasts a while for a gnome, sitting behind the desk. He's got his glasses on, and his associate sees you kind of swagger in and stands up. And what you see is there's a Warforged, and their right arm, instead of being a regular arm, is basically a great axe attached at the shoulder. And you're fairly certain this is not like a modification that was done on, it was probably done on purpose, but this is not like someone did this for a good reason. This is probably this Warforged lost their arm in some sort of industrial accident, and this is the makeshift repair that they have. And they stand up and they creak a whole lot, and you notice like all of the bits that look a little bit more ceramic on a Warforged are kind of cracked and discolored. And they stand up and they like swing the axe around, not like right at you, but it's almost like it could be threatening, but also it looks like they're kind of catching their balance as they stand up. And they look over at you and say, "What business do you have here?"
I need to see Tim Kurt.
"Did you have an appointment?"
No.
And at this point, Tim Kurt has heard your voice, and like tips his nose up towards you, pushes his glasses back, and goes, "Sharples."
Tim Kirk, long time no see. How's business?
"Well, business is down here in the cogs, making way less than I should be for an alchemist of my standing. That's how business is. Business is scraping out a subsistence level survival for somebody that is highly trained, that is a skilled scientist who can't find jobs in other parts of Sharn. Business is constrained to an area that is not maximized for me surviving at a level to which I had become accustomed. That's how business is."
You smell sour grapes.
I sense some bitterness, and I get that. I understand, and I am sorry for how it turned out.
I was out of the game, Sharples.
Me too. But that was my choice, and you didn't make that choice. I made it for you, and I apologize.
It's one or two fewer facts, and nobody would have traced it back to me, but I'm glad you got your book. I'm really glad.
You don't know that. You're probably right.
So, what would bring you to come see me?
Well,
and you don't seem like you're gloating, but you know it's always possible.
No, I'm not here to gloat. Look, I get that you're mad about the book. I understand that, but I had to write that book. If the gnomes, if we're ever going to be accepted as equals in this place, we have to stand up and own up to the things that we do.
You know what's funny? I'm not mad about the book. I'm mad that I was in the book.
Well, you were in the best chapter.
Yeah. So, you didn't come down here to flatter me. What do you need?
Well, we're going to work today, and we got attacked by a couple gnome assassins, and they both poisoned me and Kithra to death very soon. I was wondering if you could help me with that. Yeah.
They did the old walking death to you, huh?
Yeah, they did something new. I don't recognize it.
Was Was it a hit and run, or did you wipe them
Poison
out?
dagger. Poison daggers to the here. I can show you, and I'll pull up the arm wound with the dagger stuck in, and it's starting to get all festery or whatever. I'm like, that looks like it was on the blade. Looks like.
Yeah.
You know
Yep,
anything about this?
I'm pretty sure I know exactly what that is.
Any chance you could help us with this? Yeah. This is where it costs me, doesn't it?
I mean, I can help you. The answer is that I can help you.
Will you help me with this?
Yeah, see, there's the variable.
All right.
I crack my knuckles.
and the Warforged like gets a little bit off balance, but they kind of like swing they balance themselves with one hand against the wall so they can lift the axe arm.
Yeah, I'm not dead yet, Tiny.
You shouldn't threaten the boss.
We're not threatening the boss, and nobody here wants to hurt a Warforged. Believe me, that is not my thing. Ask around.
You know what? I know. You can't fix my life because you already flushed it down the toilet. And that's fine. But you know what? My friend here does not deserve that. And he points over at the Warforged arm.
That is some pretty crappy aftermarket stuff you got on there. I agree.
So I'll tell you what. You get my friend a new arm, I'll make sure you don't die horribly. And he looks at your wound and he kind of like pokes at it a little bit and he goes, "Is that about 10 days there?"
10 days. Things are looking up, but I only had 7. What is your name here, Warforged friend?
They started calling me Clank.
Right, Clank. What do you want? What do you like a 46 long there, you think? Measuring him up.
And you can tell he was more of a frontline model, so he has the bigger, he's not Titan, but like frontline soldier type build.
Definitely long.
We can fix that. We know people.
We need an artificer. We know 2. One of them.
One of them we wanted to have a conversation with anyway.
Yeah, we did. And we also have another one that does sketchy things. Let's try the non-sketchy one first. Are you available for like outpatient appointments? Because we might need you to go somewhere and wait in line for a bit.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, we will get you an arm. Tim Kirk will get us some antidote, and everyone's happy-ish.
Everyone is resigned with what they have left of their lives. We'll put it that way.
I mean, you said you were out anyway. What were you going to do with your life then? Why not just go do that?
You see what I'm doing here? I would have been doing up there.
Up there is boring and stuffy, and down here is at least
hot and choked with smoke. That's okay. You fix my friend up, and I'll make sure your friends don't drop dead. I can't guarantee that somebody won't eventually kill Charples, but he won't die.
I fully expect that at some point, but we'll
me too. I fully expect that too. But today is not that day. All right. I think we got what we need to go through this. I'll do this or die trying.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
So are you heading back to the paper to talk to Gelmer?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely this scene I think is all that can be done, and I've got nothing more to say other than I'm sorry it went down that way, but that's the way it had to go. I think. A little bit of arrogance in there, I'm sure. A little bit. Smidge.
So you spend the hour winding back from the cogs, heading back up the cut stone stairs, kind of seeing the sunlight from the docks and getting back into the lower wards, and you can easily enter the newspaper if you would like.
Let's do it. Let's right up the front stairs.
And you, when you first walk in, you see actually that Gilmer is in the boss's office, and they have like all of these basically blueprints unfolded on his desk, and they're pointing to different things and stuff like that, and excitedly. And at one point, Gilmer gets so excited about something that he's trying to explain to your boss that they're trying to explain to the boss that the shoes spring up. they're standing face to face with the boss as they're pointing at things. And then they ratchet themselves back down.
I can see this from like outside in the bullpen, right? Like see the office. And I'm like, he cares. She cares. She cares about this place. She may have complications, but she cares about this place. She's not bad. I believe that with all of my heart. They.
But yeah, they're very passionate about this printing press and everything. So they fold up their paper. You see the boss in there, kind of holding his forehead after the meeting, and they start walking back out. And about halfway across the floor, they pop out the wheels on the shoes and start gliding towards the stairs that head downstairs. They kind of look over at you and wave. Hey, how you doing?
Greetings. How you doing?
And they do this fancy like turning backwards while they're still rolling towards the stairs.
This could cool. Be this could turn out badly.
It's been a great morning so far. You know what? The boss actually said that I get some extra money to upgrade the presses after I showed him this plan, and he fully understood exactly what I needed. And I'm sure he didn't just give in because I was badgering him and throwing a lot of technical terms that he had no idea about.
That's fabulous.
My puff pastry piece must have sold some copies.
Why don't you show us what you're going to improve, Gilmer?
Yeah, you want to see it?
Absolutely.
All right, come this way. Gilmer is very excited about this.
Off we go.
And Gilmer starts rolling down the stairs and like dropping to each stair as they are rolling slowly down backwards. This is actually pretty dexterous for you think Gilmer has been practicing with these skates. I am so glad that all of you are interested in what I'm going to be doing to help contribute to the ongoing life and quality of this newspaper. I know we're all in this together. I know sometimes people just look at the people that write the articles and say, those are the people that are the heart of the paper. But the people that are really the heart of the paper are the people that like squeeze the organ to pump blood out of it so that it goes into all the extremities. And the extremities...
without both parts.
Yes. That's what I was getting at, the heart, and, when you squeeze a heart and it just, pumps blood all over the place, and then the blood comes back through. So the blood coming back through is you writing more stories, and then me squeezing the heart is pushing out the stories again. And it's just like, it's a cardiovascular system.
It's like birth.
Beautiful analogy. Go team.
Well, now birth would be, and Gilmer gets halfway into explaining the reproductive process and goes, never mind. So, what should I show you first?
Is it loud here?
It's not pumping out papers, but it's doing like a cleaning cycle where it's basically like cycling the drums.
Yeah. Start at the top. Show us everything.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So I'm going to install these extra flywheels that'll let this roll more freely, and they start going into this whole deep thing about how this will exactly how long it's going to take to dismantle it and how long it's going to be offline, and then they get off on a tangent about how excited they are to use this new cleaning solution for. And then they go off on the actual chemical formula for the cleaning solution that they will be using.
This is hard. This is very hard. But I guess what I'm sure we're trying to do here is get them to move around to a spot where we can have that conversation, and maybe you'll just be like, "You sure you have enough room here, enough clearance next to this machine?" And I'll like start making weird measurement gestures with my hands or something.
Oh yeah, and eventually Gilmer is like up on the extended shoes at the furthest point from the door, over in the corner by where everything comes out of the press.
Perfect.
And then this is where the papers are born. Looking over at Hazel.
How do we actually break the news or broach the topic, I guess?
Gilmer, I have a question for you. Have you ever worked on Warforged before?
Oh, yeah. That's how I knew how to do that whole, breastplate X to me.
Yeah, and that's particularly why I wanted to ask you this question. Because we have a Warforged that needs a new arm.
Oh.
And, I mean, you're the first person I thought of.
I mean, there's that Otara person. She's got this whole shop up in the North Market, but that's like high-end parts and people getting really nice shiny things. I don't know if I have enough to refurbish a whole arm, but I think I have most of the assemblies, and if I rummage around, I might be able to find enough to complete a hand. It shouldn't actually be too hard. This could be a fun side project.
Now, out of character. So we have all these signs that Gelmer is a spy. But at the same time, Gelmer just exudes passion and enthusiasm for the stuff we're dealing with now. It doesn't ever seem like there's any falsehood or fakery or anything like that in what Gelmer is saying, does there?
They're either really, really good at what they do, or they're completely clueless and they're being played. That's my vote. Can we get a hint of either one, or?
I think we're going to have to say the word.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have always... Gilmer has never seen anything except very forthright in everything that they've been enthusiastic about.
And I guess that's how I'll approach it. I will say, Gilmer, you really do care about this machine, about this place, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I love this place.
Then what interest does Goblin military intelligence have with you in this printing press?
And Gilmer looks at you very seriously and gets really close to you and looks like they're going to have a conspiratorial whisper with you and says, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then they scoot back very fast.
I don't think that's true.
Now,
Okay.
Gelmer, you are talking to the gnome that wrote the book, literally wrote the book on exposing an entire nation of gnomish spies.
Assassins, but, we're like spies, but a lot deadlier.
And besides, the spies are still collecting data from House Civis, so that's that's a completely legitimate business.
It's us, Gilmer. You can tell
Yes,
us.
you are correct.
You can tell us.
Did someone accuse you of being like a changeling or something? Is that what's going on here?
No.
Because, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a changeling. It's just sometimes if you don't admit that you're a changeling when you're impersonating somebody, people get really bent out of shape.
I don't want to push us any further.
What were we talking about?
I believe you're going to do the right thing.
You all look so serious.
Yeah, well,
Serious times.
It's serious times.
What would make all of you so serious? I mean, I know you work on very important, serious stories, and
well, someone did try to kill us today, and
that's bad.
Yeah, and we've both been poisoned, Kithra and myself, and
gonna die.
We're gonna die in about a week or so, a 10-day, as they say in other parts of the universe. So I think what's probably likely to happen is we have to get a Warforged an arm, so the person who takes care of that Warforged can give us the antidote, so we don't die. So we're a little impatient with conspiratorial games right now.
Oh my goodness!
You know,
Wow.
But
I actually have some.
Bit.
I have some things that I invented that another artificer was interested in, and I was just going to try and scavenge something to refurbish, but I think I'm just going to trade in those things, because if this is about your lives, I don't want to waste any time with that, and I know they'll give me an arm if I hand over some of my inventions that they're not as good as what I do here, but
Well, Gomer, that would be most appreciated. You're not just winging it, are you?
Oh, what?
Never mind. It's fine.
No,
you are a conundrum, Gelmer. A true conundrum.
I am.
Okay, stand by. When can you do this work? After work, this afternoon, today?
You know what? On lunch break, I will swing by my friend's shop and make the trade, and I should have the arm here by this afternoon.
Okay,
He's a big fella.
Yeah, front line.
That shouldn't be too much.
Not Titan level big fella, but
yeah, like
line fighter big fella.
Soldier big fella.
Yeah, soldier model. Yeah, yeah.
48 long. I measured him 48 long.
I can do that.
A 48 long, Charples.
There wasn't any other weird things like special attachments or anything. Just a functioning arm in good shape, right?
Yep. Looks pretty standard.
All right, I can have that. No problem.
Perfect. Thank you.
And would you be willing to install it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love installing things. I mean, it was a little creepy when I pried open that breastplate that time, but it was, we found the little, capacitor thingy, so it was cool.
Yeah, we're still chasing that down.
Really helpful.
Okay. So, was there anything else? You guys were really serious and seemed to be, poking around the bush at something, and
I mean, we honestly just want to make sure you're not a spy who's going to stab us in the back, because we have seen some things that indicate that you are communicating with people that are not part of this organization, and therefore we're a little concerned about things. I'm sorry, Charples, I don't do spy shit.
You're right. You don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Hazel, give me a D20 roll. Let's see how this affects Gomer.
I got a 5.
Oh.
Gilmer looks at you, and you get that's a partial success, and I will. This is the hard choice basically that Gilmer gives you, and Gilmer looks at you and says, "I actually really trust all of you guys, and things can look more sinister than they actually are, but I also know that as much as I like Charples likes writing tell-all things, so I would need way more assurances than I've ever gotten to give up any of my family secrets, if you know what I mean."
I fully understand that. No offense, Charples.
I take no offense, and if you feel the need to speak, you should do that, because I will leave the room.
Oh, basically, they're just saying if you can prove to them that you wouldn't act negatively on this information, but that may not be something you can do short term.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm not inclined to even agree to it at this point, quite frankly. I'm a reporter, after all, and the truth must be free.
But yeah, I'm going to head out for lunch now and get this traded in. And they go over to the corner and unfold this thing, and there's this really interesting. For point of reference, it looks somewhat like if you've seen the live action Masters of the Universe movie and the cosmic key that
I vaguely remember something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
it's like this cylindrical thing with all these tuning forks around it, and when you press a button, the tuning forks come out and they all start spinning. And you wouldn't know this, but you know, in the movie, it opened up portals to other realities.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
So
this has been a morning.
I'll just go trade this, and yeah, meet me back here. It'll probably take most of my lunch hour to track them down, and hopefully they'll have it ready to go. But I'll be back here in about an hour.
Sounds good.
So Gilmer heads out, and you notice they pop the wheels on the street and start like skating at full speed.
That really is seriously cool. I got to get me a set of those.
So what would all of you like to do for this next hour?
We got to send a message, right? Somehow.
Yeah,
I don't
we
want to
need
walk
to
all the
get
way back
Clank
down
here.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get Clank up. So can we like make a phone call? Is there a way to contact somebody down there?
Yeah, you could probably go to the House Civis sending station.
Yeah, let's go to House Civis sending station and get a message, because I don't want to walk all the way back down to the cog. That's like an hour.
And it is relatively cheap to just send a message for a courier from the Civis station down in the cogs to go send a message to tell someone to come running.
Oh, I use the Daily Bridges account. I don't pay for it. This goes on the expense report. And the chief and I can talk about that later.
But yeah, when you walk in, the woman that is working there says, "Don't you work for the newspaper?"
Why, yes, we all do.
Have you seen Mac around? I'm just curious. I no particular reason. I was just wondering.
He's on assignment.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought he might be calling me for something story related, but he never called me back, so that's okay. If you see him, let him know that
Something we can help you with?
Nope.
Okay.
You poisoned once in your Max message board. This is just not. It's not fair. Sorry, what was your name?
You had to do that to me. It's almost a perfect scene.
I know. I'm taking notes so I can tell this to Mac later.
Yes.
Mac has a message from Ezra. Ezra? Is that what it was? Esme? Esme. How about Esme? ESME. At the House Civis switchboard. Got it. I write it down in my notebook. Just want to make sure I get it right. And he'll get back to you as soon as he can. I believe he's quite good about these things.
Yes.
I couldn't remember if I actually dropped her name in that session or not.
I don't think you did, because I didn't write it down.
Okay. I feel slightly better that I didn't actually come up with so I didn't put it back in the spreadsheet, so I thought maybe I hadn't come up with a name. But yes, now we have a name, so that works fine. So if you wait back at the paper after sending this message, fairly quickly, Clank walks up there. Clank has a very odd gait because they're thrown off balance by having this great axe that is not well installed on their shoulder. So they kind of lunge forward really quick and then catch their balance and lunge forward really quick. But the people out front, when he first comes up to the newspaper, are a little hesitant that a warforged that has a rather large weapon for
Is
an arm.
lumbering and jerking towards them.
Yes. It's like, no, I've got an appointment here. And the people at the newspaper are kind of like looking around going,
oh, he's with us. He's with us. Come on back, Clank.
and you notice the other people at the paper kind of look at you like, oh, okay.
This can't be the first time we've brought something really unusual into the newsroom. That
Can't be the
can't be the
weirdest thing
first
they've
time.
Stop your
Not even-
rubbernecking, everybody. Important
Can't even be a
newspaper
top 10.
business.
Yeah. Mac's done way worse. Ask him about the badger.
Not the badger.
Shoot, the badger.
Oh, goodness.
The first rule of the badger is we don't talk about the badger.
So you notice Clank says, where do you need me to go?
Right this way. I'll point to the printing press / laboratory / engineering workroom.
And Clank is trying to use the great axe arm as kind of a cane to go down the stairs, and you notice he's pretty wobbly as he's walking down the stairs.
As
Hazel
much
will
as my
actually-
little gnome I could, yeah, I will try to help as much as I
Yeah,
can.
Hazel will offer a hand to steady him if he's willing to accept.
Yeah, he's not too proud. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And he leans up against the wall, and not long after that, Gilmer yells down there and says, I got it!
That's great. He's down here, Gelmer.
Awesome! And Gilmer stops for a second at the top of the stairs, and they look at the shoes, and they're like, yeah, now's the time to try it. And they pull another lever on the shoes, and springs pop out of them.
Oh.
What is with the shoes? They're amazing.
Oh, Gilmer.
Like, okay, I haven't practiced with these as much as the wheels.
Don't hurt yourself.
Gilmer, let me come get the arm. Let me bring the arm down before you try this.
That's okay, I've got it.
No.
Gilmer
No.
like jumps and like spins in the air and lands on the Gilmer rolled a 19.
Damn.
Got a 9.5.
That's pretty good. Bounces on the springs a little bit. Okay, so where's your friend? And Clank is like, I'm here.
Gilmer, this is Clank. Clank, this is Gilmer.
Oh, hey, I got this arm for you. I'm gonna install it in 1 second. I just need to talk to my friends just briefly. And he kind of pulls Hazel mainly, but anyone else, he won't stop you from coming over there. And he goes, I can install that arm, but he's got a lot going on there. He's seen some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be able to fix some of it beyond the arm. I just hate sending him out of here without, doing a little bit more work. Do you think he would be?
I
okay
wouldn't
with that?
worry about it. The axe thing is really the key piece.
Let's
How
deal
about-
with the arm first. Let's deal with the condition he came to see you for, and then we'll discuss his other ailments and see what treatment plan he wants to follow.
Yeah.
So we can, after we'll do the arm, we can talk about, hey, and this is how we'll do the arm, and then Gilmer, you just go, hey, I could do this for your blah, blah, blah.
Oh, this is that thing that you keep telling me about where you don't say everything that comes to your mind first. You wait
Yes.
and then say something later. Ah.
You don't want to overwhelm your patient.
So Kilmer walks over on the springs, and they're like, all right, so if you could just put yourself in my lair. No, that's lab, workshop, and I will get that fixed up for you. And, the workshop actually has a soundproof door.
It's for the best.
Yeah.
So now that Gilmer is working on the Warforged, what would all of you like to do?
Probably do my job. You know, go through the obituaries that have come in and get them prepped for the paper, and see if there's anything that needs a little more, you know, investigation or deeper look.
I just had a horrible thought. Like, are you going to pre-write Kithros and Charples just in case?
She probably already did.
Oh, I get first editorial pass on that. That is in my contract. That's got to have a shot at it. If I'm still alive, I get to edit my obituary. I make notes.
I'm going to pace back and forth outside of Gilmer's door.
All right.
Yeah, I don't have a story to write. This is kind of embarrassing, but it's only halfway through the day. I mean, we can.
So yeah, Hazel, you look through your notes and write up a few things and get ready for your things that you turn in on a day-to-day basis. And the other two are Kithra's pacing, which is kind of annoying. And how does Charples deal with stress?
I look on the Spike, look for a Spike story, something to write about. That's how I deal with it. Even if it's crap, I'm not above writing crap to survive. Yeah,
there's just some, like, you know, basically there's some shoddy merchant, like, this merchant is selling bad shit, you know, type stories. And
yeah, no, that's gonna work for me. I do wonder how a frontline soldier like Clank doesn't have like a pension or someone to take care of him for his service, even a little bit. I do kind of wonder about that.
You could do an article on the novel that somebody wrote bashing Warforged.
I've got that. Yeah, that's I got those in my notes. I was thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Tybin Brell was the author of that book.
Yep, Tybin Brell wrote that anti-Warforged book. You know what? If we saved a copy, I'm gonna sit down and read it. Okay. That'll take me some time, so maybe it's something to get today, but that'll take me some time to get through.
Okay, so like it's probably a little over an hour, so you can get a decent amount into it, and it is like some horrible bullshit. It's basically, you know, the protagonist of the story is stating that Warforged have no souls, and therefore obviously at any moment they could malfunction, and there's magical things that just need to be put down, and there's all sorts of like platitudes about how they ruin the honorable nature of warfare by relying on these soulless machines that think that they're real people, and it is trash.
This is horrible. I don't want to write about this. I don't want to give it any light. If it's one of those fringe things that's kooky, I don't want to write about it because I don't want to give it any room to breathe.
Then write the puff piece that counteracts it.
Well, that's what I'm going to
do. Talks about basically the clerics who have said no, they actually have souls because our spells that only work on those who have souls have worked on Warforged, or the stories of the people who have been saved by Warforged.
That's what we're going to do. If you're going to write a story like that, you can say all that and no one will listen to you. The way to make it sell is to tell a story and make that person a hero. And that person, I believe, is downstairs getting a new arm.
Interview Clank after.
I'm going to go interview Clank and start writing up a human interest story-ish thing, a Warforged interest story. Specifically about. I think this is probably going to be a war hero story. See what I can dig up.
And the other thing to keep in mind is that the woman that was the foreman of the warehouse that was cleared out that you were investigating, Baratha had some kind of link to the guy that wrote that book, because she had several meetings with him in her ledger.
Yes, that's right. She had. All right, that's okay. All right, let me get the interview in if I can, and then dealing with this, we're gonna go find Tywin. I don't think we can find Baratha, but I guess that would be the story. I want to definitely do the war hero story on the Warforged if it looks like it's anything to it.
All right. So about an hour into it, you see Clank coming up the stairs, and Clank, Gelmer did some cleanup on most of Clank. Didn't really do any extensive work because Clank is kind of too proud to ask for anything extra. He already feels kind of bad about, getting the arm, but he knows it's kind of part of a deal, so he can justify that. But you notice, Gilmer has cleaned up a lot of the parts, but the arm still looks very new and not nearly as worn as the rest of Clank. They still have a little bit of a sway to their gait, but they are way more stable now than they were with the arm.
Look at you, Clank. You went from Clank to Swank in like an hour. Looking good.
I like Swank. Swank is good. I am not changing my name, but I like Swank.
Ah, you got a nickname. Everyone needs a nickname. So you were in the war.
Yes, I was.
And I guess I'll start that interview process. What did you do? Where did you serve for? Ask for some stories. See if I can extract something that is feature worthy, even if I gotta, punch it up a little.
Yeah, and what you find out is that Clank was I am going to say my pronunciation of the nation, and anyone can refute it if they wish. But Clank was actually working in Sire as a.
I believe that is the correct pronunciation from the mouth of Keith Baker. I've always said seer, and I've had trouble correcting myself.
But that was where he actually worked, and he was actually fairly well treated early on when the family that was in charge in Sire had him in their personal guard. But as things, devolved, he was sent to the front line. He got literally lost in like a canyon for basically years until he drug his way back out. No one in Sire had claimed him for a long time, so House my brain just froze up. House Caneth brought him back in and basically tried to find his current owner and then repurposed him and sold him to someone else. And he was very upset about this because he had felt like he was actually a member of the Sire military, not that he was a product that they were using. He felt purposeful there, and being recollected by House Caneth and reconditioned and sold to someone else made him feel like a product, and it was like the lowest point in his life. He didn't care about all the battle injuries that he got or anything like that. That was the moment that really made him feel terrible.
I can write the shit out of that. That's a Dewey story. Yeah, absolutely.
And then what really wraps up is that when the morning happened, like, he just woke up and he was missing an arm and was kind of in this shape that he was in. And he kind of bitterly talks about how nice it was that they declared all of the Warforged to be sapient beings with their own rights, but didn't really do anything to help those that had been damaged or injured in the war afterwards.
Typical.
That is a great story. And I'm going to write into that. What I'm going to do, though, is House Caneth is not going to get an entirely impartial judgment here. For dumping their trash, I think is kind of the phrase I will use. I want to dump a little bit of fire onto that when we go start poking around this connection between Bareth and Tyvin. I want to have that in the public eye, that it's out there. So I want that published to go out, and then I want to go dig into the thing and see if that loosens up the beaver dam here a little.
The queen is demanding your attention.
She is so mad.
So how about we see how well the story is going to go over, and then we will, after we see that, we'll go ahead and take our break and then come back. All right. So you write the shit out of that story. This is definitely a sympathetic piece that it's very popular with the Warforged in the city, and it's, you know, very galvanizing to the people that maybe haven't really thought about the realities of Warforged life before. So once this is published and out on the streets, it's definitely going to go over well.
All right, looks like Dice Cam died, so I'll just roll a d20. Yes, I rolled a d20. You can help me, Katie Boo. 16.
All right, that sounds very good. Okay, everybody, I am going to go ahead and pause this while we take our break, and anybody watching or listening will be back in probably about 10. So we will see you on the other side. And we're back from break. We had just seen how Charple's story is going to be received the next morning after it gets printed, and Charples did a bang-up job on his story once again, which is good considering this is following up the food tasting,
the literal
article that came. Yes, the literal
puff pastry piece.
Not my best work.
So as you're finishing, you know, up your notes for this, and you see Clank looks at you and says, "You've spent a lot of time talking to me. Shouldn't we make sure the two of you are going to be all right?"
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll walk with you, and that will walk you back down to the cogs. We'll go with you. Make sure you're all right.
All right. And, you know, you walk back down to the cogs. You see, you know, some workers changing shifts, you know, milling around the place, and you make it back to the alchemist shop.
As we go, Hazel will give Clank tips on how to regain, you know, his balance after now he's got a new arm again.
Yeah, he's still kind of like way, you know, not used to, you know, the weight distribution again and all of that.
Theoretically, physical therapy tips should work for a Warforged too.
So thank you. I appreciate that. And he's like moving around and kind of testing this out. And you get back to the alchemist shop, and Tibkirk looks up and says, "That was way faster than I thought it was going to be."
We know people.
And
Clank always keep our word.
Clank walks over to him and says, "They did this for me." And he like moves his hand around, and you notice like Tibkirk like sincerely kind of grabs the Warforged hand and like kind of pats it like he's a little bit choked up that his friend has his arm back again. And he says, "This isn't because I care about you, Charples, but I am going to keep my word here." And he pulls out 2 vials of antidote that he had, that, you know, over the last couple hours he looked up. "Go ahead, drink up. You might want to double check just to make sure that it's gotten into your system. You don't want to assume that something like that's going to work and then, you know, find out that you're not breathing in a few days."
I'll make sure they're okay.
All right. Well, Charples, I hope I never see you again, but thanks.
You're welcome, and thank you. And if you have any trouble with you know, with the old man here, just reach out. I kind of like him.
And Clank looks at all of you and goes, "I appreciate all of you."
We did something good today. How about that?
Yeah.
So what are all of you planning on doing now?
We got to find something for me to hit.
Yeah. One thing I
want
would
to
like
hit
to
somebody now.
on the way back, that pastry shop that made the pastries, the kolaches that Gelmer liked, I want to make sure I get an order delivered to Gelmer for in the morning.
Okay.
The ones that they liked.
They have no problem setting up that delivery. You said these are to be delivered to a Gelmer that works at the paper, correct?
Yes.
And they take down the notes for this. So what else would you like to do?
We need to find We need to find some haters.
Yeah,
I mean, you did have, like we mentioned earlier, Baratha is tied to, Tyvan Grell somehow, and Baratha seems to be tied up in all of this. Several people have mentioned Otara, the high class, artificer that's working in the North Market, and specifically that she was referring people to Warforged to Nang to do his modifications to them. And
if I remember correctly, Nang's modifications were gonna be problematic in the long run.
yes, they burn out. They require having more dragon shards installed after time.
Like he's creating addicts.
Basically, yes. And dragon shards are expensive.
I'm thinking Baratha and Tyvan need to get their faces punched, but I'm open to whatever you guys think is best.
I before I'd recommend punching her face, I would try and find out what her business was with this, racist author.
Yeah, we'll question her and then punch her in the face.
I mean, he can punch him in the face all you want.
The biggest problem you have currently, though, is that
Don't know where.
people haven't seen Baratha in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I suggest we go out through Tyvan.
Can we track down where Baratha's apartment is?
I'm going to say, along with the other personal information that you got, you can probably find an apartment if you would like to go there by looking through all those papers that you managed to save.
Okay, let's take the direct approach. That's kind of what we seem to do.
All right.
yeah, why not?
So Baratha actually had an apartment that was on the corner leading down into the cogs. So she is actually still in the lower ward, but very close to the passageway that leads down, which is a decent commute every morning. And this is not a high-class neighborhood where her apartment is in. So if you follow up to where the apartment is at, you see it's a pretty rundown building. It is, how would you like to approach this? You have the number, so you could go just straight there if you want.
Let's do a recon around the building. I think caution is warranted given that I've already been stabbed once today.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that Squabbles has gone off and done his own thing today.
I mean, you can have Squabbles show up and send them to do something else. That is up to you.
Well, the question is, does she have like a first floor apartment, a second floor apartment? Because if she's got an upper level, I could have Squabbles fly and see if he can see in the windows.
I like this plan.
It is the third floor, which is the top layer of this. So Squabbles is like, you need me to do something?
Yeah, it's the third those windows up there. I think those three and maybe the one around the side. Just see if you can see inside them, and I promise you we'll get some of Abby's potato fries for you later.
I appreciate that. That's really good. And also being a pigeon walking around a windowsill is right up my alley, as it turns out.
Mm-hmm. This job was designed for you.
It's what you were born to do.
Squabble flies up to the corner of the third floor, starts kind of like just walking around, looking like a normal pigeon, kind of looking in the window, walking around the corner, comes back around. Squabbles flies back down to you. That place is so cleaned out. I have never seen a place that cleaned out before. There is nothing in there.
Oh.
There's no curtains. There is nothing.
I was kind of hoping for a dead body.
Let's let's go take a closer look.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if it's cleaned out, we probably won't spend too much time, but we should definitely verify.
So you walk up there, you get up to the 3rd floor, you see the corner apartment. The door is locked. What would you like to do?
Ask Mac to come back and open the door.
I was just going to say, Mac probably has something for locked doors.
I have something for locked doors. It's
Yeah.
called-
Kithra does indeed. If you want to break the door down, that's fine.
I don't have any way to open it. So, Kithra, I guess you should see how you're feeling. Maybe a little physical therapy against the door here.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the let's make it as loud as possible kind of break in. I'm going to like lean into it and just.
Since
Gentle shove.
Since there may be some finesse involved, I will have you roll me a d20 then.
I got a natural 20.
Wow. So,
also known as suck it, son.
So yeah, Kithra, you plant your foot and you put your shoulder right against the joint and you just kind of flex against it, and there's just a light whomp, and it just pops open.
I slowly swing the door open.
The door is broken, but it's not, obviously broken. So
I take a
Nice.
quick look inside, and then I go, proceed.
and
Thank you.
the sun is starting to go down a little bit, which, in this corner of the lower wards, there's not a lot of sunlight that makes it into this corner anyway, because it's kind of is under all of the overhangs and everything, and then leads straight into the cogs. But even in the distance through the window, you're seeing the lights are starting to dim. So, there's lots of shadows in this empty apartment, but you can actually smell like cleaning solution in this place. Like somebody seriously scrubbed this whole place down.
Maybe there was a dead body here.
I'll do magic eye for 1 AP just to verify there's no magic concealment. I don't think there is, but I'm always thorough.
When you do this, there is a super faint, quickly fading wisp of some magic left here, and it is only left here because it is a fairly powerful example of magic, and it feels very similar to where you found the trail of that bust that held the Erani elf spirit.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna quickly just check around and make sure there's no spirits hanging around here.
When you glance around, you don't see any lingering in
Okay.
here. You feel like that bare trace of, the spirit that was in that bust, but other than that, and what you feel is even fainter than what Charples feels with the magic that was, that causes that to be contained in there.
Would
Too
that
late.
make it? Timeline? Where would it put the presence of the bust before or after what happened at the warehouse?
The bust, it was 3 weeks when the warehouse was cleared out. There was a lot of residual magic because the bust had sat there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is fainter, but if you kind of feel it's fainter but more recent.
So she brought it here.
Yes. This is
and then-
where it was sitting in the interim.
Yeah, we got an echo, but we're too late.
Would you like to do anything else to look through the apartment?
I assume we'll do a physical search and walk. That's not really our jam, I guess, without Mac here. But do the best we can.
I will let, if one of you would like to roll a d20 to see how well you find anything, pick one of you to lead the search.
How about you, Hazel? Would you like to lead the search?
Sure.
Go for it.
I got a 10.
Well, I believe a 10 is still a success. Or is that on the edge?
I believe it's on the edge. I just don't know which side of the edge it's on.
I have it somewhere, and it's not popping up here. There we go. Yes, it's on the edge of the tough choice. I am going to say you feel like you have found a board that might, looks like it's not like just a damaged board. It looks like it was intentionally pried up for something.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find something there, but it's going to make some noise if you pry this board up. Like the people in the apartment below will probably hear it.
Charples, would you be willing to run interference with any nosy neighbors?
Got it covered. I'll head to the front door and prepare a bamboozle spell. Just
All
in
right.
case.
So Charples goes out there, and you pull this up, and like you can pry it up a good way, but like it gets to a certain point, it's like.
Well, if I may, it's probably more that Hazel is trying to pull it up, and Kithra rolls her eyes and comes over and just yanks.
So it makes some noise, and you see stuffed under the floorboard. There is some more paperwork.
Ooh, I pull it out and look at it.
All right. So as you are looking at this, Charples, someone comes up the stairs and heads towards you and says, are you moving in there? Because otherwise you really shouldn't be in there. I'm going to have to call the superintendent.
I don't think you need to do that. I think I think we're here because the superintendent called us to do another cleaning sweep, and that's when I cast Bamboozled.
Okay. So what does that do?
Bamboozled is a spell that where is it? Basically, it's going to give you a nearby creature mildly confused about a specific subject until you leave the scene. For example, confused merchant about the value of goods, guard confused about who's authorized to pass, that sort of thing. Dog confused about whether he is a good boy. He's always a good boy. So I'm gonna pretend that we're the cleaning crew for that apartment, and I'll burn the 1 action point for that.
Okay. So they look a little like out of it as they look in the apartment, and they're like, it really is clean in there.
We do good work. Sorry about the noise. We'll try and keep it down.
So now that Charples has kind of headed off this potential trouble, Hazel, you see this is all paperwork for applying for official paperwork showing someone to be a citizen. And one of the things that you notice in here is you're fairly certain. I'm going to say that, with you knowing about birth records and death records and things like this kind of falls under your purview. This almost looks like Baratha's identity did not exist before about a year ago.
Ooh.
Someone sponsored her to be an existing citizen.
As a side note, with Death Sense, if I spend an action point, I can sense if anybody died here.
If you spend that, you get a feeling that no one has died here.
Okay.
Not for a long time.
Okay. So much for my CSI instincts.
Yeah, it looks like she didn't exist before a year ago, and somebody used some resources to set up her identity.
This sounds like your territory, Charples.
It does. Take the paperwork. I don't want to read it here, but we'll dig into it the next day.
So if you're walking away, the person that you bamboozled is sort of like, hey, if you ever want to clean my place, that it looks really good in there. And they're just kind of out of it.
Absolutely.
Take it up with your super.
Yep. Every super, call us. We'll take care of it. Jiffy Cleaning. We're the one.
So when you get back downstairs, there are I'm going to say, Charples, you can probably pick this out. There are 3 people that are rather thuggish in build, and they're wearing kind of nondescript gray clothing, but you are almost certain these are watch officers. They have a certain bearing about them, but they are not wearing watch uniforms at the moment. And they are waiting on the street as you are coming out of this apartment.
They look like undercover cops being undercover.
Yeah, a little bit. The watch officers. Always best to treat them with respect and deference.
So one of them walks up to you and says, we're all off duty right now, but we've got some business we need to discuss with you. See, you got into a fight with someone that is family with one of our watch officers, and you damaged his livelihood, and we can't let that stand. Now, we wouldn't, as watch officers, abuse our position as watch officers, but we're off duty, and if something happens when we're off duty, I don't know. Things happen sometimes when there aren't any watch officers around. Not that we would have abused our position and made sure that there's no watch officers that are going to come into this neighborhood.
So you're going to have to narrow that down for me.
And one of the...
Exactly...
He's ruined a lot of livelihoods.
Yeah, it's been a day.
I'm just saying that sometimes you need to know whose brother works for the watch when you burn all of his books that we're selling.
If you're going to throw a punch, please just get it over with so we can get on with this.
I'm going to say, since they announced themselves, this is standard initiative, which means all of you can go first before they do.
3 of them?
Yep.
All right. Kithra probably wants to go first. And I kind of want Kithra to go first.
Kithra's had a long day.
Yeah.
What you're saying is I should punch this guy.
Is it obvious it's going to turn into a fight?
Oh, yeah. The one behind this guy, when he's talking, pulled out a club and starts, doing one of those with it.
Really, bam!
First off, let me ask, Kithra, are you sizing them up?
That's probably actually a good idea because, it's a thing. So, I will definitely size them up.
All right. So the one talking to you is pretty competent in fighting, and I will translate that in game terms. They're a boss, the other 2 are minions.
Excellent.
So, with that having been said, what would you like to do?
I'm just going to pop the boss right in the puss. Boom!
Okay.
Where's my die at? There it is. Show me a 16 on the die. And because I have, what is it called? I have technique. I do 2 points with my physical, my punches and kicks instead of 1.
Ooh, don't even need your weapon out.
Damn straight. I'm a badass.
That's why we keep you around.
So how did that attack go?
Popped him right in the face. Boom.
Would you like to give me a roll for that?
Sure. I would love to. 12.
All right. So with just a solid success with nothing fancy and no drawbacks. So you just pop them straight in the face?
Yep.
All right, so Kithra reaches up a little bit because this is a taller guy, but you smack him and you actually hear his jaw crunch.
I'm used to fighting outside my height range, so I'm good at the uppercut.
She punches up.
Yeah, actually, it's more like when you hear the jaw crunch, it's because you like slam the jaw together.
Uh-huh.
The teeth like slam in.
Oh, that's a concussion. At least.
That
right.
boy's going to be drinking through a straw.
Who would like to go next?
I would like to pull one of the minions aside, and I'm going to cast something I picked up last time, Mesmerize.
Ooh.
You dazzle a nearby commoner or minion with an optical illusion the creature must be able to see. Until you leave the area, the creature cannot move, take actions, or respond to conversation.
Nice.
The spell ends if the creature is harmed. So I'm going to mez the one on the left, I think, and let Hazel deal with the other one.
All right. So that one, do you have to do any roll, or do you just spend the...
No, I just spend the AP.
All right.
And I'm going to make an illusion of, say, the police captain admonishing him. And like he's terrified and standing at attention.
My office now.
That's right.
You're
exactly.
a loose cannon.
Oh, that old chestnut.
So yeah, he's listening to your illusion berate him and just kind of completely mesmerized by this. Hazel, what would you like to do?
I think with the other minion, Hazel, because Squabbles is still with us, she'll say to Squabbles, "Distraction time," and Squabbles will basically start flying away in the guy's face and then out, and that'll give Hazel an opportunity to trip him.
Okay.
It's basically one of her standard bar brawl moves.
All right. Give me a roll to see how well this 1-2 technique of tripping this person
I
goes.
got a 7, so not very well.
So I will say this. They will get if you want to still trip them, or you can just say you don't do it. You can trip them and they will have to spend a turn standing up, but they will get a chance to injure you.
If it's injure me, that's fine. They're not allowed to injure Squabbles.
Okay. So on their way down, I'm going to make a roll for them.
Okay.
That is 8. Instead of giving them the option, I'm just going to say they only do 1 point to you on the way down.
Okay.
So now they don't get their standard term, but they did get 1 point of damage on you. So they're all tangled up on the ground now. All right. So that one is basically spending their whole turn trying to stand up again after having the pigeon face attack and trip combo hit them. And the other one is mesmerized. So we only have the boss. The boss does get an extra attack. So their first attack is going to be on Kithra.
Bring it.
Ooh, they suck. They got a minimized effect. So they are only going to do 1 point against you unless you have something else that will chain off of them attacking you.
They did not get a tough choice or worse?
Yes, they did.
I
just gave them the tough choice was doing less damage than they normally do.
Yes, well, because they got the tough choice or worse, I parry the attack and take no damage.
Nice.
And, oh wait. When an enemy within reach rolls a tough choice or worse, you parry their attack and take no damage. If they roll a failure or worse, I get to immediately counterattack. But I don't.
So yeah.
But I take no damage.
Yeah, so he got a minimal effect, and you still managed to parry it. So that's enough for him to take his extra attack on you. Oh, geez. So this might play out the exact same way, because they got a minimal effect. I'm going to give him the tough choice of taking less damage, or doing less damage. So he'll do 1 point of damage, but he got lessened effect. Would you like to parry again?
I will do the I will do the thing. So
he is getting very frustrated that you just keep like knocking his club away as he's trying to beat you mercilessly. And
you got to swing down on the swing. You're going over my head, and that's just not going to cut it. You need to learn how to fight.
And one doesn't get a turn because he's mesmerized, and the other one spends his turn standing up from the pile that he was in. So next round, all three of you get to go first. What would you like to do?
I'm just going to see if I can finish this dude off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just finish the job. 15.
Nice. And that is 2 more points, correct?
Yes.
He is a boss, so he's still not down. But you have done 4 points to him so far. You would have taken out a normal thug. Yes. So you smack him and he staggers back again. And this guy basically has no neck because his neck has been sacrificed on the altar of muscle. So he is just a slab of meat that often wears a uniform. And so who would like to go next?
Sharples?
Yeah, I'm going to cast Scintillate using my pen as my wand and shooting some hot sparky things at Kithra looks like Kithra's okay, so I'm gonna hit the other minion that's not mezzed.
All right.
An 11.
So yeah, that just gets you a good result. And does that do 2 points?
That does 2 points.
All right. They are not down, but they are significantly battered. Hazel, what would you like to do?
Is it possible to do something akin to intimidate? Basically like she is your cheerful goth chick, so like pull on the creepy aspect of being somebody who's akin with the dead and basically tell them to get out of here and leave us alone. You're in over your head.
I think since they are within 2 points of getting taken out, and mechanically it would be the same thing, I'm going to let you intimidate them away if you are successful with your intimidation.
Okay. So I'm going to roll. We'll see how successful she is. Oh, Jesus. I can't roll above a 10. That's a 6.
Oh. You know what? I will say this. Your tough choice will be you can intimidate them away and they will run out of here, but they are going to throw a chemical irritant at you on the way out.
I'll take it.
Basically, they're trying to cover the tracks by throwing alchemical pepper spray at you. So,
Aced.
Ooh. So it burns your eyes for 2 points of damage, but they take off. Like they are. Tell me exactly what you said to them before he panics and throws the pepper spray at you.
So, most of the time Hazel is, cheerful and a little bubbly. She is still somebody who communes with the dead. She is an academic. She knows how to handle a classroom of unruly students. So it's she kind of pulls on that teacher voice and that necromancer voice and tells them, you thought you could intimidate us? Are you so foolish that you would think that's even possible? You have no idea who you're dealing with. Run while you still can.
And he gets this odd feeling that it's actually getting colder around him, which may be actually happening, but he's not sure. He just knows that he is feeling cold and numb, and that is freaking him out the more you're saying this. So he's like, hey, lady, I don't want any trouble. And he kind of like turns and like tosses the pepper spray canister over his shoulder as he takes off.
I don't want any trouble.
So yeah, you take the 2 points
5 minutes ago.
You take the 2 points from your eyes burning, and so one minion is mesmerized, the other one just fled the scene. So Kithra, did you go yet? I lost track.
I did. I went first.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so everyone is gone. So now it is just the boss. One at first, like just as an offhand thing, he's screaming at the guy that's just standing there, like, "What are you standing there for? Get in here! I brought you here as backup." And then he is going to attempt to club Kithra. Hey,
It's not too late.
That's actually a success for once.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that is a successful attack that will do 2 points of damage to Kithra.
Whatever.
And you know what? I think Kithra actually really frustrated him with all the parrying. So I think he's going to use his extra attack on Kithra again. You're drawing aggro right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's her job.
Ooh. Darn it. So that is a 10 again. So I am going to choose the reduced damage for 1. So that is lessened effect. What would you like to do?
Dodge, spin, parry, thrust.
So he gets overconfident because he like slammed you once across the face and then brings it back like as a backhand, and you just like toss him back, like, get out of here with that.
Got to get up earlier in the morning if you think you're going to take me on, chump.
So now all 3 of you get to go. While he's still yelling at the one that is mesmerized this whole time, and the one that's mesmerized is like, "I'm sorry, Chief. I thought I filed the paperwork."
All right, I'm gonna give him the Neo flex, you know, and I'm gonna look him dead in the eyes, even though he's up there, and I'm gonna say, "I don't want to kill you, and you don't want to be dead. Get out."
I'm gonna say this has a chance to work, but if you don't get a full success, you may not have a good.
That'll be fine, just fine. Go magic dice roller, natural 20.
Nice.
I think with a natural 20, he's going to get frustrated since you threatened him, and he sees that he is by himself with the one that's mesmerized and the other one that ran off. He turns and he goes, "This isn't over. This isn't over. You just don't mess with somebody's family." And he turns around and he looks in frustration at the mesmerized cop, and he throws his club and hits him in the side of the head with it as he takes off running.
That's right, run.
That'll wake him up.
And,
That would break the mess.
yeah, I was gonna say that breaks the mesmerized, but like he looks around and everyone else is gone, so he just kind of belatedly turns around and takes off and runs.
Yeah, I yell, "Run, dummy," really loud.
So yeah, you get the feeling that author is related to somebody on the police force.
Well then.
Well, not a surprise. That'll give us something to do, won't it?
What would you like to do now?
Find a water fountain to wash out my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like this might be the end of the day, right? We gotta be pretty close.
Oh yeah, it's dark now.
Yeah.
You find a fountain, but it's in the lower ward, so it's not like the cleanest water, but
Surely Squabbles must know the nearest water fountain. Surely.
I'm gonna say it's like a wishing well. So I mean, there's some gunk in it because it doesn't get cleaned out that often, but there's definitely water in there that
If she can skim off some of the cleaner water at the top, just enough to splash it out so she's still not burning anymore.
There's this weird copper smell to the water from all of the copper pieces that have been tossed into the. So now it is nightfall. All of the lamps start to come on around the district. What would you like to do?
I think retire for the evening. I don't think we have anything else to do because we got to find this guy, right? We got to find Tyven. That's going to be the next thing, right?
Probably.
I mean, he sent the goon squad after us.
Okay, so if are you all going to head to your places for the evening and rest up?
Yeah, for sure. You get something to eat before I go to bed.
Do you have a specific place you would like to meet up in the morning?
You want to meet up at the office or?
Yeah, office sounds right.
All right, so you're going to meet up in the office tomorrow. All of you manage to go home. Provisioner says hi to Charples as he comes in, and she goes, I was expecting you sooner, so I made you dinner earlier. However, I should be able to reheat it. Would you like this, or would you like me to make you something new?
Whatever. Thank you. That's very kind. You don't have to read it. I'll just take it as is. I was late, so I don't want you to go through any trouble for little old me. But if you want to reheat it, I mean, that's okay too.
That is not a big problem for me. And Warforged don't sigh, but there's kind of a sigh involved there.
Right. I will tell Provisioner about the story I wrote and see if she read it.
Well, technically, it hasn't come out yet. You wrote it.
Oh.
We rolled to see how it was going to go over, but it's not going to come out until the next day.
And I'll give her a preview.
I appreciate someone taking this kind of care to write a story of that nature. I was right to rent out that room to you.
Oh, thank you, Provisioner. I mean, I didn't write it. I didn't write it for him. I think I wrote it for me, honestly. I mean, yeah, I understand that what was happening here is bad, and I understand that someone needs an advocate, and I'm happy to do that. But I'm not sleeping with angels here. I'm just a reporter trying to make himself happy too.
Yes, but if we follow our better instincts, that is how we learn to become better people.
Well said.
It is a journey. It is not the work of a single effort.
This is delicious. Do you have any rolls? And I kind of shove some food in my mouth.
She gives you some rolls. You notice, like, when she's cleaning, she goes to clean out a glass, and she puts the rag in the glass, and she rotates her wrist like all the way around to wipe the thing out. There are some advantages to not having bones to get in the way of those things. All right. So Hazel, your stalwart, I cannot talk. Stalwart pigeon companion says, so Hazel, do you need me for anything tonight?
You got no, if you got plans, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you if you could just leave I think I can get the windowsill closed if you want to just leave it cracked, and I'll come in and close it.
Yeah, I can do that.
And he puts his wing on your head and says, "You did good today."
You too.
He flies out the window. Kithra, I feel bad because I feel like you don't have someone to sign off with as you go back to your utilitarian apartment. Is there anything you're doing on the way there?
I'm actually working on I'm working on a design because my people are craft people, so I'm working on a design for something. So I'm scribbling designs and making notes.
All right. So you all get a pretty good night's rest. And actually, with everything that happened yesterday, you're getting a little deeper into whatever story you're following, but you also did some good yesterday. So I will not presume to tell you how your people slept, but if you're inclined to sleep well, you probably did. And so everything that do you get back your hit points on a rest, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you all rest up, and not only are you not dying, you are you have all of your hit points back.
Woohoo!
Yay!
There's a near camera spirit here.
Yeah.
I like how the fur is just fading in and out of the background.
Time for sleepies.
So the next morning, it's regular day. You meet up outside of the outside of the paper. What are all of you planning on doing at this point?
I want to research the police. See if I get that Tyven name, brother. I got the last name here in my notes. That name, I want to see if I can figure out who that is. Tyven Grill.
All right.
There's got to be a cop out there with that name, and see if I can hunt that down.
Okay. Give me a D20 roll. We'll see what you can hunt up from the various archives that you have here at the newspaper.
6.
I am going to say that you had the newspaper, like you actually remembered the last name, and you had a copy of the newspaper that you were looking at, but it's not in there at the moment. And it looks like the chief is going into his office with a newspaper tucked under his arm. Would you like to follow the chief into his office?
It's been a while since we talked to the chief. Yeah.
All right, is everyone going in to talk to the chief?
No, I'm leaving that one to Charples.
Yeah, I'll hang out outside the door. No sense,
bodyguarding doesn't include the chief.
He's one that signs the checks. Yeah.
So, Chief Wall, the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, is sitting in there looking at a newspaper going, so I really like for us to follow up on corruption in the lower wards. It's the whole reason that I am looking into, that I want to publish stories and I want people doing good stories. And I just want to say, Charples, I really appreciate that you came through with that Warforged story, because I needed you to do something a lot better than that food story, and you delivered, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
But, and he's like waving this paper around, and he's like, but I need to know a little bit more. I don't need names, but I need to know a little bit more about what you're all looking into. I can't even find Mac anywhere.
Yeah, Mac is looking into something for us. He'll be back soon. What we got right now is we got that crackpot anti Warforged thing going around, the W and non guys. I think that's what they call each other. I'm not sure. They're unpleasant, and they're spreading rumors that Warforged aren't. It's their belief. I get it, but it's wrong, and they're causing harm. Well, they got the ringleader, the guy that wrote that awful book about it. I'll call it a book for lack of a better word. I think he's got someone on the inside, someone inside the police force watching us back, watching out for him. We got that angle. We're chasing it down.
So he's holding the paper, and he looks over at the paper, and he goes, I thought we were getting back onto the watch thing. I want to expose problems with the watch, but at the same time, we have to be really airtight with anything we do with the watch, because I'm not going to lie, they can make things really rough for us down here. We don't have the politicians to back us up like they do in some of the upper wards. And he's holding the paper. He's going, can you promise me something's going to come out of this?
I can. So, does that mean I shouldn't tell you that we got jumped by 3 watch last night, or would you prefer not to hear that?
What did they jump you for? I'm just saying, did they jump you for that story that we published 3 weeks ago, or is this something that you're working on now that they jumped you for?
It's related to the anti-Warforged propaganda they've been pumping around. Yeah.
He picks up one of his cigars, snips the end off of it, lights it up. It's too early to drink.
Yeah, that's what you keep telling me.
All right. Well, I figured you'd want to see this, so have at it. Just give me some warning if somebody's gonna, I don't know, burn down the paper.
Oh, that hasn't happened in years.
And he hands you, and the paper is folded to the page that you would probably want to look for, and it is a report on Nelsmer Grell, and Nelsmer is the procurement officer for this watch.
Surprise.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a coincidence, isn't it? What a coinkydink. Nelsmer Grell, procurement officer for the watch.
Which is also what the Clan Bormer person mentioned having dealings with as well.
Yep. Well, this is time to tidy up on a little bow here, isn't it, Chief?
I just hope we get the bow tied before somebody, I don't know, I hate to use the same analogy, but I'm an editor-in-chief and I don't have to worry about people nitpicking the words I use, setting the bow on fire.
Yeah, well, we'll need Mac to dig into this fully, but we'll get started, lay the groundwork.
All right, just like I said, make sure you warn me ahead of time. I got some resources I can call in to keep an eye on the paper and some of the people. I mean, I hired Kithra. So, let me know and I'll see if I need to dig into my purse and find a few more people from any kind of bodyguard guilds around, and we'll get it taken care of.
That's the thing about trouble, Chief. If you can see it coming, it's not usually trouble.
That don't make me feel any better, Charples. That really actually doesn't make me feel any better.
I'm not here to make you feel better, Chief. I'm here to sell papers.
Okay, I kind of like that attitude. Get out of my office.
Sayonara. Hey, did those pastry order come in? Sent those triples in. They make it. I didn't see them come in. Did you see them?
Yeah, actually, Gilmer offered me one before they went downstairs.
Good. Gilmer did us a solid.
One of them isn't like really filling though, but yeah.
I know. All right, Chief. This is getting too close to warm and chummy. I can't handle this. I got to go.
Get out of my office.
I got to go.
Can you feel the love?
I'm so uncomfortable with that moment.
All right. So what would you like to do now? Oh, actually, while Charples is in there, I'm sorry. While Charples is in there, Hazel, you feel a presence looking over your shoulder.
I will turn on Death Sense a little bit and see who's here.
It's not Death Sense, it's Lorella.
Oh.
Same thing.
Oh.
And
I thought you were a ghost.
And for a minute, like she turns like really pale and gray. I'm sorry, I can't do translucent, but
Yeah. It's you could totally do zombie though.
Yeah, I could pull that off.
Yeah.
Actually, there's this one time when I had to pass for a ghoul. Won't go into it here, but so
I mean,
what?
if you had a job up in Carnath, you had a job up in Carnath.
Yeah. So. Little thing, I know Mac doesn't like it when I wheedle in on things, but Hazel, we've always been solid, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still not going to let you wheedle in on their stuff.
No,
we've always
no.
been solid.
But you're spending a lot of time with Gelmer, and on top of that, Gelmer also has been doing like freelance work for Warforged that you've been bringing in here. There's like 2 of them that have come in here and gone in the last couple of weeks. Like what's going on with the whole like side business with repairing Warforged?
You saw Charple's article today.
Yeah, but I can't help but feel like here's the thing. Most reporters would do a favor for someone to get a good story. Charples would do a favor for someone to get a good story so that he could use that story to leverage somebody else to get a bigger story, because Charples is addicted to conspiracies.
I don't know if Charples is the one addicted to conspiracies, Lorella.
If there's a story going on right here, maybe somebody needs to tell the story that's going on right here in our own paper.
Lorella, are you having writer's block?
No,
Are you having trouble coming up with your own stories?
I am not. I just wrote a fabulous expose on smugglers that were bringing their goods in via the port. I have no problem writing stories at all. It's just,
No, but honey, you're worrying me. This hyper focus on Mac and Charples, it's like that just speaks to a lack of self-confidence.
I don't have a lack of self-confidence. And while she's saying this, like subconsciously, her features are shifting to look like Mac's. I don't know why you think I'm obsessed with Mac and Charples. And then for a brief moment, her features are like a combination of Charples and Max.
Oh no, that's just wrong.
No, that's
That is
terrible.
wrong.
She kind of shakes her head and everything resets.
You are an excellent writer and a very good reporter. You don't need to follow their breadcrumbs to get your own, to try and write. Honey, you don't need to ride their coattails.
I don't write anyone's coattails. I don't write anyone's coattails, and sometimes breadcrumbs lead to a really big loaf that you could share with someone.
I tell you what, if we get to the point where this is a loaf, then I will make sure we throw you a slice.
I will hold you to that. And about this time, Charples is coming out of the office, and she walks by Charples and goes, "I'm going to get part of that loaf."
Is this about the puff pastry piece again?
And then as she's walking out, after she throws that little confusing thing at Charples, she goes, "Also, it was a good story. Congratulations on getting that one."
Thank you. It was good. You'll get there. Don't worry. Someday.
I'm going to get some of that loaf.
What's with the loaf?
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
Okay.
So, what would you like to do now?
I think that Hazel kind of wants to try and follow up on the Baratha Sword Splendor thing, because she came out of nowhere and then she went to nowhere. So, she might start investigating that a little bit.
Okay. Would you like to do that going through the papers records, or would you like to do something else to investigate that?
Probably paper records to start with, and then talking to people.
Okay. So, give me a D20 roll, and we'll see how well that research goes.
Don't fail me. That's a 3.
It failed you.
I thought it was going to be a 15, but no, that's a 3.
Yeah, you're looking through, and there just isn't anything to follow up on here. I mean, it's not that there probably isn't something, but nothing jumps out at you, and there's so many archives to go through here at the paper. You just aren't getting a solid lead on it here.
So later on, she'll start going out and talking to people.
Oh, okay. What kind of people would you like to talk to?
Well, she was the foreman of a warehouse. That warehouse probably had employees. Those employees are currently unemployed. So maybe she'll start with a bread line or something and see if she can find anybody who had been working there who's no longer working there.
Okay. Are you going to ask around in the cogs or up here?
Probably, if there's a space that people would be that's kind of between the two, probably at that point.
Some of like the middle management types that work there might have houses like in that neighborhood that you were at before.
Yeah.
But probably most of the people that are like entry-level jobs would be down in the cogs. So if you want to look for like middle level people, you could look for them up here.
No, I guess she wants a low-level worker to start with.
Okay. So heading back down to the cogs. Ooh. Is anyone going with Hazel?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Can't let her go down there by herself. She might make a new friend.
And the pigeon like is on his shoulder too. it's like, you know what? We're all in. And he like puts his wing in like he's waiting for everyone to put their hands on top.
She gives him like a little, she's used to this. She gives him like a little fist bump.
Come on, Kithra.
All right.
Go team. You notice the pigeon is usually a little more leery of Mac.
All right then.
So all of you head back down to the cogs, and basically there's a few places where people mill around where they're, you know, like kind of waiting for people to come out and say they need even like temporary jobs, like we need somebody for the next 2 days, and you know they'll come out and post a job, and the people that, you know, really need something will come out there and do that. So if you go to an area like that, I will let you give me a D20 roll to speak to some of these people waiting around for a potential job.
I will do that. I'm a little afraid of what this die has been giving me tonight. But... Oh my fucking God. That's a 1.
Oh, goodness.
Dice jail.
That's okay. This will be a fun way to wrap up the session. So, so as you're asking around, unfortunately, this someone walks up to you as you know you're sitting here asking, like, you know, have you heard of this Barotha person? Blah blah blah, and you see someone that looks like, I mean, they are a centaur, but they are very, like, the horse part of them is matted down. They have long, scraggly hair. This is not a frolicking, running free in the forest centaur. This is a centaur that's pretty desperate to be living down here in the cogs. And they walk up and say, I don't do this sort of thing for a living. I probably should, because, you know, I'm pretty big. But I was paid to make sure that anybody that asked about the foreman didn't make it back up topside. So I'm real sorry about this, but I'm going to have to trample y'all.
Or we could work something out.
But I'm going to make a lot of money from trampling you.
But think about this. How much money were they really giving you?
And they drop an amount, and it is in gold pieces, which is, you know, pretty good for somebody that's used to doing work down in the cogs.
That's a pretty good amount of money. Are we worth that much?
I mean,
now?
that's good money, but
That's
think of the kind of money you could make long term if you weren't stuck down here looking for grunt work like that. Like, you know, if you got like a bath, you cleaned yourself up, cut the hair a little bit, and you knew some people topside who could get you a gig somewhere else where you didn't have to be down here in the cogs. I mean, didn't that feel good?
I am going to let Kithra roll me a d20 to see how the centaur takes that
through
that
employment
offer.
agency.
Because, like, you were going good, but then you also kind of intimated that they, yeah. So,
I mean, you know, just because I have, you know, no real skills in this
yeah.
area, the 2 isn't really gonna.
I'm real sorry, guys. I mean, hope it doesn't hurt much. And they rear up their front hooves, and which is good, because if they reared up their back hooves, that's just really confusing for how this fight's going to play out.
Yeah.
So, again, you are not surprised by this. The centaur warned you, so all 3 of you may go first.
Again, I'm willing to let Kithra go first.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna wild attack.
Okay.
So I describe the area that we're standing in again real quick.
There's a crowd of people. There's kind of an alleyway where people are lined up into. There is a job board that is on one side here. There is a really shitty tavern kind of in the corner, and you're kind of on the street. There's a light post nearby. Badly taking care of cobblestone roads.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'm gonna try to do here is I just go all out. I leap up and like grab a hold of like the hair and the scraggly fur, whatever, and try and like swing myself up, and I go for the headlock and try and use my momentum to just take like total wrestling move. Just
all right.
Jump up, grab, headlock, bring him down to the ground. And praying that the Google dice roller gods treat me well again. 14. That's not bad.
That's not bad. That is an uncomplicated hit. So yeah, you managed to.
Before you go that far though, because I got my own little table for that.
Okay.
I described what it looks like, and I rolled the die. I got an 11 to a 19. I deal double damage, which is 4 points.
Nice. Okay.
So, do you want to reconsider this course of action?
It is not knocked out yet because the centaur counts as a large creature, so they get a few more extra hit points from that.
As one would expect.
Yes. But they're like, I need the gold. I'm real sorry. Who would like to go next?
I will throw a bit scintillator here and try to get a 2-pointer in. So pull out the pen and let some sparks fly. And we have Dice Cam back. So Dice Cam is here. Dice Cam.
That was a great time for Dice Cam to work.
Dice Cam says no.
Oh, so I'm gonna say you pull out the wand and it starts like building up energy, and the centaur like freaks because the centaur has a Kithra on his back, and he doesn't know like how magically powerful you are, so that wand could be doing anything, and he just like freaks and starts flailing his front hooves, and I'm going to say with that one, you just take 3 points of damage from those hooves flailing.
Boot to the head.
Yeah.
The head.
To the head. Oops, I've had better days than that.
Hazel, what would you like to do?
So the crowd is probably staying back and not bothering us. They're watching.
Well, they're betting. They're betting on you.
Okay.
A lot of people betting on the centaur.
She's gonna take her. Combat is not Hazel's thing, and she really doesn't have very many offensive abilities. But she's gonna take her shawl and try and basically like throw it over the centaur's face to, like pull them back.
Okay. I will say if you are successful, the centaur will not get its turn.
Okay. I'm pulling up I'm pulling up a dice roller because that damn thing hates me.
Screw that real dice.
Yeah, clearly I made the same mistake.
I still can't get over a 10. I got a 9 at least.
You know what? I am going here is here's your option. Either it is going to get an attack in on you, or it doesn't lose its action, but it's going to shift all of its actions down one category.
I don't think I want to take the hit. So we'll let it take an action, but everything is shifted down.
All right. So it throws the thing out of its face pretty quickly, but it's still a little disoriented from having a dwarf on its back and also a shawl in its face. So it kind of like whips it off and throws it down and is trying to reach back and grab the dwarf on his back. So, let's see how this goes. Okay, so that would be a 19, but that will go back down to a tough choice because Hazel has screwed his options. So now it is a tough choice. And he's going to take the reduced damage tough choice. So he's only going to do 1 point of damage to Kithra. But, Kithra...
That's right, Johnny. Kithra says no.
So yeah, like, as, you know, basically he's kind of like swinging around to get you in front of him and trying to stomp you as you're swinging around on his hair.
Oh, that was a good try, buddy. Keep it up.
So, next round, what would we all like to do?
Real quick, is this dude considered a commoner or a minion?
He is a minion. He is a big minion, so he has more than
minion nonetheless.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. All right, let me just double check this to make sure that I'm not getting out of bounds here. Yep. I am going to spend a point and do an overpower.
Ooh.
Yeah, baby. That'll be spend a point. Overpower. Overpower says I use my strength to overpower a commoner or a minion within reach. I put the target in a compromised position until they spend a turn getting out of it, and during this time, basic attacks hit them for double damage. So basically, I'm just gonna keep this chokehold.
Yeah, still got a dwarf on his back, and he can't really get away.
Like,
stop! Get off!
Pin this thing to the ground.
You're heavier than you look. Get off me!
I'm ornery too.
So, what would the other two of you like to do? Like, clearly, Kithra has the centaur, like, discombobulated at this point, and
kick him in the ribs. Kick him in the ribs.
I like ribs.
Sharples.
I'll use my wand again. I really want to ask the centaur a question. It's been really driving me bonkers for a while, which is, do centaur babies suckle off, or the? I want to know this. Does anyone? Just feel like maybe he would know.
TMI, man. TMI.
I'll just roll the die. Here comes the scintillate. Oh, it's
hey, that's better than.
Yeah, that's 4 better.
All right. So yes, you skapot him, and the blast hits squarely, and he convulses from the magic hitting him. Still hanging on, but I will say this: you can tell this is a person ripe for being intimidated out of a fight at this point in time. If you would like to follow up on that, Hazel.
I think she will. She'll like, they paid you to attack us or anyone. You have no idea who you're dealing with. You think people just wander down here into the cogs because they want to go on a Sunday picnic? No, the people who come down here on purpose are dangerous.
And I whisper in his ear when she finishes that, very dangerous.
That's a 2.
All right, so not intimidated. He is going to spend his turn basically just getting Kithra, like, you're still on his back, but he's not completely tied up again until you do this to them again. So he like pushes you off and gets you pulled out of his hair, but you're still on his back.
I told you, kick him in the ribs. Now I'm gonna have to do all the work again.
That's Mac's job to help.
Yeah. If this would have been Mac, it was like he just took an action. I'm gonna stab him. slide in there instead.
All right, now I'm just gonna punch.
Okay. Head punching time.
Oh, that's a 10.
All right. So I'm going to give you the tough choice, which is I will let you knock this guy out, but he's gonna fall on you.
I'll take it.
Okay. I will roll to see
Bonk.
how this fall goes. Okay, so you only take 1 point of damage from being fallen on by a centaur.
All right. See, that wasn't so bad. He was a burly fellow, though.
I am going to say that I'm going to say Charples probably notices this. He has like a scrap of paper in his belt.
Ooh, a clue.
Oh, look at that. I'll just snatch it out of there.
The note basically says, you know, if anyone comes asking for the foreman, take care of them and then come to this address with a description of them and we'll get you taken care of. And then it's got like the gold piece value written down there.
We're not worth this much. We're really not. I'm flattered and quite frankly, abhorred.
It wasn't targeted at us. It was just anybody. So I think we should get Mac before going there. Where is he anyway?
I think he's on a bender.
I mean, I've been there.
I
Or
think
he's on assignment.
I think on that notice, on that note, we're going to have we'll have PK explain what Mac has been doing for the last day and why everyone has not seen him. And on top of that, I will note you do have that note now that gives you an address for somebody that was paying people to take out anyone that asked about the foreman. And I think we're going to wrap up for the day. So let's go around. John, do you have any last minute things you would like to say before we sign off for the night?
I do not, but if you voted, thank you. And if you didn't, I am sad for you.
Bob, do you have any last minute things you'd like to say tonight?
I hope you're enjoying our little tale that we're telling, and I know I am enjoying the telling and hanging out with these wonderful people. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Real quick, Extra Life this weekend. Contribute.
There you go.
Oh, and before I forget, everyone add 10 character points.
What does that mean?
Just add it to your total.
Oh, the action points?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, action points, sorry.
Okay.
And everyone pick out a new power.
Woohoo.
And now that I told you all of that, hey, Ange, do you have a last minute thing you'd like to say?
No, but, take care of yourselves. It's been a rough week full of Tuesdays, so
Oh, yeah.
take some care of yourself.
Definitely. And the only thing that I can think of to say is to quote Bill and Ted and to say be excellent to one another. And on that note, I am going to sign off. Hopefully, you'll enjoy listening or viewing this, and we'll see you next time around.